Welcome to the Athletic Approach, where we will guide you through the intricate maze of the mind in sports.
The Athletic Approach is brought to you by Culture in Sport, where we believe that culture is critical to long-term success. I'm Kristen Banowski.
And I'm Manisha and this is the Athletic Approach, where we don't just play the game, we understand it. Hello, how are we today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's been a day. It's Monday, one of those days, but I'm all good. I'm all good. How are things on your end?
Oh yeah, good. I have the day off from training today. Been sliding for the last 5 days, and then I'm forerunning for like a kids series. So the kids
Oh,
race the
nice.
next 2 days, so that's fun. It's cool because they're all new too. Like some of them
Hmm.
have been sliding longer than me, but most of them just started this year too. So it's kind of nice to be around people who feel like they're at similar level, even though they're like half my age.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh, like
Yeah.
how's that? Like, are you coaching them or is it
No,
like what's that like?
I'm definitely not qualified to coach them. No, so we have in bobsleigh, we have what's called forerunners. So before sessions or races, they'll send somebody down to make sure that the timing's all good.
Mm.
Um, And yeah, so it's a good opportunity, especially for someone like myself who's trying to find time to get on ice to get some runs in. And then the actual race happens afterwards. So, um, yeah, I'm definitely not coaching any of them. I'm kind of just hanging out and getting the chance to learn alongside them.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, they're all training for, I don't know if you've heard of YOG or like Youth Olympic Games,
Mm.
and it's like a mini Olympics for kids under 18. And next year it's in Korea, and the winter one, and that's what they're all kind of preparing for. So they were just in Korea, and all these little 15-year-olds are all like jet
Wow.
lagged, and now
Oh,
yeah, and now they're out here, and this is the last race for them of the year, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
oh no, that's really good.
Mhm.
So this episode we'll sort of like talk about I guess ourselves and kind of a bit more of an introduction to what we're about.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm kind of following on from kind of what you've just said. So kind of what got you into bobsleighing?
Um, the shorter version is I did track in university, and and then when university ended, I kind of like my goal was always to compete for Team Canada. And when I graduated, I was pretty far away from ever making a team. The closest I ever came would have been when I was in high school, and then I started getting injured a bunch, and then that kind of ended. Um, and so there was a lot of people in my life who were like, okay, you have your degree, like time to be an adult and move on and create new goals. And so begrudgingly, that's kind of what I did for a couple of years. And I started doing CrossFit. For the first like year and a half, I didn't want anything to do with any kind of athletics. I would try and
Hmm.
go to a gym and it was miserable. I had no goal. I didn't really know how to work out without a plan, and I wasn't making a plan for myself. And yeah, so eventually I found CrossFit, which was awesome, and it kind of reignited this like passion for sport that I had. And yeah, in the spring of 2017, I kind of became very motivated to look for more options. At this point, I'm 25, and my younger brother is doing track and field, and he makes his first international team for Canada. And I'm like super proud of him, but also incredibly jealous. And I don't know, maybe not jealous, but like I really started to beat myself up because he had reached a level that I'd never got to reach, and it's what I really desired to reach. And so I was pretty upset for a bit with myself and started looking up how I could re enter the sport world, essentially, what opportunities were out there for someone who's 25. And I knew that my gifts are in speed power. And there happened to be a bobsleigh testing camp in a couple weeks, and I went out and it went really well. And they invited me to come out to Calgary to just try out pushing. And then I went home, I went back to work, and then they invited me out to another camp. And they kept inviting me back to more. And eventually, the pre Olympic testing camp in the 2017-2018 year, I tied for third. Um, and shortly after that, I was named to my first World Cup team. And that February, I was an alternate at the 2018 games.
Wow. And that was a
Yeah.
short answer.
Well, that was, yeah. I ended up not doing the short answer. I was like, oh, I know
Yeah.
that we're supposed to, I guess might as well. I don't really like, I feel like I get asked that question a lot, and I don't
Mm,
like, I usually just say, oh, I got recruited from track.
hmm
And then I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't tell the short answer on the right now. So I'll just do the thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no,
I'm just
that's
like,
really interesting.
to me, it feels like that's a different person so long ago. I've had so
Mm,
many experiences since then, and I've grown so much that, like, I don't actually like telling that story and reliving that because it feels like another person.
oh, wow, okay. Because like your motivations have just completely
Yeah. And like,
changed.
yeah, I feel like I still am like an introverted kind of person, and I'm like timid in social situations and stuff sometimes, like social anxiety. But I've grown so much and I'm more confident in myself. I'm more willing to take risks. Like, I've grown so much as a person since starting the sport that I just don't really identify with that person who was so scared to disappoint her family that she didn't want to, that she went to work for 2 years instead of continuing to pursue her goals, you know?
Yeah. Oh no, that's really interesting. Like, what do you feel like you've benefited from being within sport?
Like, within sport in general, I've, there's so many things that are in my life right now that I'm so grateful for. But I think bobsleigh in particular has made me a lot more confident in myself. Um, and it's also helped me see that I can pursue things that I initially thought weren't in my wheelhouse and weren't going to lead me down the right path, like to whatever success might be. And I can go and pursue those things just because I want to. I don't need someone's permission to do it.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's pretty good. No, I like that. Yeah.
What about you in dance? That's something I guess people start like really young, right?
Yeah, and I did not do that. So
That's interesting.
yeah, so I like literally everyone starts when they're still in the womb, like
Yeah.
ballet. And the way that I kind of picked up dance was through, it was literally watching R&B music videos was like the way that like, I'd watch them and I'm like,
How old were
I want to
you?
copy. Oh, like literally like young, like 4, 5, 6, that kind of
Okay, so
age where,
you still had an interest pretty young, not like
yeah,
firstborn, but
yeah, like I definitely had an interest since I was younger, but I never trained from that age. Like I'd watch videos and I'll try and copy them,
mhm.
or as I got older, in when I was about 8, 9, that's when High School Musical and Camp Rock were a thing. And then again, I'd be learning the dances from the films. And I even remember in year 6, which I don't know what the grade is, the equivalent, but I must have been about 10, 11. And me and my friend, we would literally learn it in like the playground and like we do a little performance. And then it actually turned into um, teaching year 1s who are about, oh, I don't know how old they, I want to say if I've done the maths quickly right now on the spot, I think about 6, 7 years old. Um, so we were like teaching them, like even like the teachers, they created like this little, oh, it sounds horrible calling it a cage, but like it kind of was because it was like the juniors who
Mhm.
like you they have to be kept there for like safety reasons so they're not running around No, sorry, not juniors, infants. They were infants, so they couldn't run around. Yeah, they couldn't run around in the juniors' playground.
Mhm.
Um, and we would teach them like dance, like in like the lunch breaks and stuff. And that was really good. And then I remember actually in year six there was a dance teacher who came and we learned. I think it was break dancing for like one lesson, but there wasn't like enough interest. It was either that or it was just a one-off thing, and it just never happened again. It was just one like class, and that was it. And then I also remembered that there was a mum who came in and taught us Afro dance, and that was so fun. And I remember her being like, "Oh, you've got hips, girl. Keep going."
Oh.
And I loved it. I literally loved it. And I wanted to keep going with it, but I wasn't confident enough to go to like an external after school dance club because that's kind of where like the popular girls went. Do you know? And
Mhm.
I wasn't like with that crowd. And that kind of was the same thing going into school, into secondary school, where again, I remember in year seven that I had there was this there was these two girls that wanted to teach dance as part of their GCSE qualifications, but it was only like three of us that turned up, so that was a lack of interest. I think we had about three sessions.
What is the qualification?
So GCSEs, um, I think it's the equivalent to a high school diploma,
Oh, okay.
maybe. It's kind of like before it's so after GCSEs there's A levels and then it's university. So
Oh,
what it's what you I don't know what the qualification is. I don't know what the equivalent is, but it's what you do at age 16
oh,
is what you
interesting.
complete. Yeah. And yeah, there just wasn't enough interest. And I didn't feel confident enough to go to an external dance school. And like, they were quite expensive as well. And like just wasn't in like the financial position to pay so much
So
money.
when
And
you
then
say an external dance school, do you mean like all day, kind of like the dance academies you see on Netflix, or do you mean just like classes?
classes that
Okay.
were just external. So they would be like so sometimes they're called private dance school, but they'd have sessions like 1 or 2 hour sessions on in like the evenings to go to classes, but then you'd still compete with them against other dance schools. Um, and yeah, and again, I'd never been to a class like that, and I just again didn't really feel confident enough to. And then when school finished, I then picked up like YouTube tutorials, and that's how I proper like got into it because I was like, I can go at my own pace. There's no one else in the room. And I really enjoyed that. And then I'd post the dance videos on like Instagram and like you then connect with other people that are also learning these same
When
dances.
when did you start posting on social media? Like what, how old were you?
16, 17, that age. Um, and I created it. So I had a personal Instagram account. Then I created another Instagram account, right? Because I didn't want anyone from high school to follow me.
I can
Um,
I can identify with that. I've considered like when I have other passions, I'm like, oh, I just want to create uh like a hidden Instagram, not a hidden Instagram, but a separate one
well,
that's not
yeah,
attached. And I can just post whatever I want and not worry about my friends or family judging me, which is awful, but
no, that was exactly what it is, and it was like a clean slate sort of thing.
mhm.
And it was like a couple months after. I remember, oh my gosh, I remember. So in college, it's you don't always have the same people from high school go to the same college, but you might have the odd few people that
Yeah.
still do. And I was still good friends with people from school, um, and they were saying like I think they had a lunch break that I wasn't with them for, um, but later on in the day after college, my friend had texted in the group chat and they were like, "Oh, I know what so and so was laughing at now." They were laughing at Manisha's dance videos. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, someone needs to catch me up here. And it turns out like this group of people that we used to go to school with that also went to the same college, they were actually like laughing at like my dance videos
Oh,
and that. I mean, looking back at my old dance videos now, I can see why.
I
But like
feel
that's
like
all on progress.
yeah, I feel like maybe like looking back at it now, you might laugh. At the time. Were you embarrassed or did you also laugh?
I was so upset because it was
Yeah.
practically bullying. I was like, oh my God, like,
Oh my
and
God.
honestly, I hated it. But like at the time, I started going to a private dance school once a week,
Hmm.
and I remember telling my dance teacher they had done like he fully stuck up for me and everything, and it was helpful because we were a year apart in age, and he also went to the same school as me. So he knew the people that I was talking about who were like essentially bullying me. Um, and like he was like fully supportive. Um, and yeah, and I guess he was kind of the reason why I actually started going to classes in person because I already had a familiar face and it kind
Hmm.
of made sense to just like, okay, let's just go for it. And I really enjoyed it. And then we competed against other dance schools. So that was throughout my time in college, which was 2 years. And then after those 2 years, and then it's university. So then I left the school and yeah, the private dance school to go to university. And then during university, I joined the dance team there. And again, we then competed against other universities, and it's so competitive, and I love it, and it's so like it's one of those things where it's not toxic, but it's still competitive. Like it's a
Hmm.
good balance. Um, because it's not like we're winning, it's not like elite sport in the sense of where like, you've got to like psych each other out almost like it's just kind of, if you win, you win. If you don't, it's like part of the fun and it's part of the
That's great.
university experience. Yeah, no, absolutely. And
Are you still
I
doing
literally
it?
had so no, not anymore because I um well, in my masters, when I did my masters, I was commuting from home, so Manchester to Liverpool, and I still did it for that year. But then, yeah, because I'm not, well, I'm now back at the university, but I started in January, so I might carry it on in sort of September, who knows? But that's if I can make it in time from Manchester to Liverpool in the evenings. But I used to teach like non-competitive hip hop as well, and I loved that because again, it was for anyone who couldn't make the team or they didn't want to compete. So there
Hmm.
was always that option there, and I really enjoyed doing that. Um, but yeah, just actually this weekend gone on Saturday, I went back um John Moores, which is the university that I was at, and for the dance competition that they hosted, and it was so lovely. And even like one of the judges actually gave a speech at the end, and she'd said that it's so nice to see like the amount of talent on that day because every university student that's competing, we're not training full time as dancers, but
Yeah.
we've trained like for so long. Um, and even as well, she was saying like you know, the dance industry as a whole has been so hard to bounce back after COVID. But she said like she was just so hopeful for it, and that some of the routines could have been, on like bigger platforms, and they would win, kind of against professional
Hmm.
dancers, and and it was just so lovely to hear, and it was just yeah, it was really really nice, and it just shows again that because the dance industry is so competitive and it is just oversaturated that not everyone's going to book a dance job and not everyone's going to follow that
Yeah.
professional pathway. Um, and then they do turn to university level kind of dance and competitions, and this talent is still like just as good as professional dancers. So it's yeah, and even like some of like the other university dance teams are choreographed by professional dancers and
Wow.
choreographers. So it's yeah, so it's quite a big thing. Um, And yeah, and I think I think there needs to be more appreciation for how competitive it actually is still at a university level.
Hmm.
Um, Even if it's not going for an audition for like, for like, I don't know, for like Beyonce on stage, like it's still like, like loads to it. Um, but yeah, and I think that's kind of like a reason why I wanted to go into sports psychology and why I wanted to support dancers was this thing of supporting dancers throughout these different transitions and like so many different things that they go through. And also just there's a general lack of support for it.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Athletic Approach. We hope you gain new insights into the mental dimensions of sport performance and are inspired to dive deeper into this fascinating field.
The Athletic Approach is produced by Manisha and Dr. Jeremy Piasecki at Culture and Sports.
If today's discussion sparked your curiosity and you want to learn more, head over to cultureandsports.com. We've got a wealth of resources, articles, and research to help you understand the mental game even better.
And don't forget, you can also connect with us on your favourite social media platforms. Whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube, you can join our community for more insightful discussions, expert tips, and a behind the scenes look at the world of mental sports.
Remember, the mind is a powerful tool in any athlete's training. The more you understand it, the better your game. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing your limits.
Thank you for tuning in to The Athletic Approach, where we go beyond the physical and explore the psychological. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and embrace the mental game.